So this is the start of my final weekend at the Bath Film Festival, and this is going to be the start of my third video. And yes, I haven't done one of the iconic views of Bath yet, Putney Bridge. When I was at university, me and my friends always made a point of making a detour to just look at Putney Bridge. I mean, it is one of the most iconic. I mean, it's home to me. It is what Putney Bridge is. It is significant in some ways. I mean, it is one of only supposedly 4 bridges in the world which has shops on both sides of the bridge on the road, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm not sure how well you can see it from this angle, but there's a weir underneath it, which you can probably hear if nothing else. And yes, I mean, not so much the bridge, but that weir played a significant role in a famous or notorious film scene in Les Miserables. That was the Seine that Russell Crowe and his terrible singing threw himself into.
And my thoughts fly apart. Can this man be believed? Shall his sins be forgiven? Shall his crimes be reprieved? There is nowhere I can turn. There is no way to go on.
Not the bridge, but definitely the weir. I recognised the weir when I saw Les Miserables. And you also would have been able to see a little bit the colonnades which are there. I mean, I'm standing in Parade Gardens on the bank of the Avon, and those are the colonnades, or at least the start of them, which I will be actually watching a film in later, which is pretty cool. So yeah, oh, and may as well also include that. Just across the river is the Bath Rec, the home of Bath Rugby Club. I mean, surely that has to be the most inaccessible stadium in England. But that's the Rec, so hometown pride for the only sporting thing we've got going for us. But yes, Putney Bridge, Parade Gardens. I mean, this is iconic moments of Bath. I mean. So yes, as I said, later, a little bit further down on the colonnades, I'll be watching a local film called Wild Swimmers. But right now, actually, it's starting reasonably quickly. I need to get to Sentimental Value at the little theatre down that way. One of the heavy hitter Oscar contenders, or it seems to be one of the heavy hitter Oscar contenders. And definitely something I wanted to tick off my list. I mean, what was it, the Grand Prix it won at Cannes? Or shared at Cannes? No, it won the jury prize. It was Sirat and Sound of Falling which shared the jury prize. But anyway, it was second place at the Cannes Film Festival, and as such a strong contender. So yeah, there's the Rec. Once more with Putney Bridge and the colonnades, or at least the open bit of the colonnades. Oh, that's start one of the opening scenes, or the first non-singing scene of Wonka was shot in those colonnades.
Hello there. Stop. Hey, shoo. Go away. Stop. Go away. Shoo. Shoo.
Stop! Sit!
Sorry about Tiddles. Seems to have an unusual interest in your legs.
Must be these pants. You got them from the mailman in Minsk.
Yes, I'll see you later after Sentimental Value. Okay, so you currently find me in Green Park. which is very close to Green Park Station, which I've already recorded in a couple of times this week, or over the last couple of weeks. And it's also the car park of Sainsbury's, and it's just over there a little bit. And honestly, I'm not sure if the station was named after Green Park or if Green Park was named after the station, but either way, that's where I am, and that's the River Avon just behind me. Yeah, they've just installed that bench behind me and cut back all the undergrowth on the riverbank. It's not very comfortable to sit on, but the view's kind of nice. But yes, I'm in Green Park, a lovely open space in the centre of Bath. I've recorded it many times when I used to do my audio podcast. But yeah, Green Park is kind of awesome, and it's as quiet as it gets on a Saturday in Bath. But yeah, so I've just come out of Sentimental Value, which is one of the films I was absolutely desperate to see because it is considered one of the major contenders. In fact, I think in my last Best Picture video I had it as my number one, what I thought would win the Oscar. I can't remember now, it's been a while since I did it, and that was before I saw one battle after another, which at the moment I think is going to be the winner of Best Picture and many other categories. But yeah, Sentimental Value was definitely one I needed to tick off my list because it is going to be a major contender. I mean, it won the jury prize at Cannes, and it's got seemingly legitimate contenders for 4 acting nominations, which I do kind of see. I mean, I think this is actually a really excellent film. I mean, as I've repeatedly said on many of these videos and many of the things I've done online, I was never the hugest fan of The Worst Person in the World, and I'm on record of saying that Eskel Vogt, who is the co-screenwriter alongside Joachim Trier, I think his directorial work is stuff that I much prefer. But this was excellent. It really was. I mean, it is basically just a family drama, but it's a family drama that has been done in such a way that it really has valuable things to say about father-daughter dynamics and the relationship between art and reality, and where does that line come. And you know what, the sun is now directly in my eyes, so I'm going to switch benches. Okay, so I think this is very much about the artistic temperament, so to speak. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård plays this man. I get the impression substantially inspired by Ingmar Bergman, who only sees the world and only sees his family relationships through the filter, through the lens of the art he creates, the films he makes. He doesn't have a close relationship with either of his daughters. He basically abandoned them in Norway and buggered off back to Sweden. And they don't have a close relationship at all. I mean, you get the impression that he hasn't barely ever seen his adorable 9-year-old grandson, the son of Inge Ipsdottir Liljas. He just doesn't care, I mean, because he's an artist. He needs to make his work. So it is constantly about the art. It is constantly, I mean, this is how he approaches the world. This is how he interacts with the world, through his art, through his films. And that's just not healthy. I mean, I think it's actually kind of interesting comparing and contrasting this film to Nouvelle Vague, which I saw the other day, which, in my opinion, I didn't like Nouvelle Vague because it presented this sort of like great man narrative, the kind of story where this guy can get away with absolutely anything because he is a genius and nobody calls him out on it. And I didn't like Nouvelle Vague for that reason. Whereas here in Sentimental Value, the same kind of thing is attempted, but Stellan Skarsgård is constantly being called out for how much of a dickhead he is and how badly he's treated his family and his daughters throughout the entirety of his life. And I mean, he says at one point that his two daughters are the best thing he's ever done, because that's kind of what you're supposed to say, but nobody on screen believes him, and nobody in the audience really believes him either. I mean, he is so consumed with being the great director, you know, having this idea of being a filmmaker. I mean, I think there's a couple of things which demonstrate this. I mean, the one that struck me the most is that for his grandson's 9th birthday, he gives him a stack of DVDs, which is wrong on many different levels. I mean, for one thing, they don't have a DVD player, but one of the DVDs he gives his 9-year-old grandson is Michael Haneke's The Piano Teacher. And if you know anything about that film, it's barely appropriate for adults, let alone a 9-year-old. I mean, no 9-year-old should be exposed to The Piano Teacher by Michael Haneke. But he just doesn't get it. I mean, it's all about the film. I mean, it's all about this film he wants to make, and it's a film that is very much based on the life and eventual suicide of his own mother, and all surrounding this one house that the generations of his family have lived in this house in Norway. And I mean, there's sort of voiceovers periodically which kind of tells the history, kind of tells the story, the flashbacks of this house. I mean, it's a cliche to say it, but it's kind of true in this case, that the house is almost the character in and of itself in this film, and how people interact with the house, how people remember the house. It's very much part of this film, and generations of trauma going down, because there are generations of trauma. There are, I would say, multiple generations of clinically depressed people in this family, including Renate Reinsve, which is one of the points of this film, I think. And I mean, all the time having to deal with this film that Stellan Skarsgård wants to make. I mean, he hasn't made a film in 15 years. I mean, you kind of get the impression that the film industry has kind of passed him by. I mean, another sort of like film in-joke, which I thought was significant in it, is this film that he's trying to make with Elle Fanning. There's got lots of advertising for Netflix. I mean, it's, you know, those backdrops that they use, and they're standing in front of things which just say Netflix, Netflix, Netflix. And somebody is interviewing Stellan Skarsgård, and he said, "Oh, you're making this film with Netflix. So is this going to be a cinematic film? Are you going to release it into theatres?" And Stellan Skarsgård said, "Well, of course we are. It's a film. It needs to be in theatres." And the producer steps forward and says, "Maybe." And he just hasn't realised that, you know, a film just doesn't mean quite the same thing that it does anymore, and he just doesn't get it. I mean, he doesn't get his family. I mean, I think the family dynamics in this are excellent. I mean, when Renate Reinsve is asked why she refused to do this film, because that's basically the inciting incident. I mean, Renate Reinsve and Inge Ibstoft-Lelias's mother has died, and suddenly, out of the blue, after not having any contact for years, maybe even decades, he comes up with a script, said, "All right, I really want you to be in this film about my dead mother," although it's kind of been inspired by the death of my ex-wife as well. And Renata Reinsve refuses. And when she is asked, repeatedly she is asked why she has refused to do this film, her answer is basically always the same: I can't talk to him. And that's almost literally true. I mean, they just do not communicate with each other. I mean, if right at the beginning, right when they meet in this cafe and there's this script on the table, they'd had a conversation about what their actual issues are, there would be no film, because they would have fixed their issues, and we wouldn't need to have all this stuff about Al Fanning coming in to play his own daughter apparently, and now the film has to be made in English because Al Fanning's not Norwegian. So there's lots of stuff there about the relationship between father and daughter, and how it is always filtered through filmmaking, through art. And there's sort of like a gradual realisation throughout the course of the film that everybody knows that father and daughter can't and won't talk to each other. And Stellan Skarsgård has, to some degree, or one of the things he's done with this script he's written, is this is one of the ways he's trying to talk to his daughter Renata Reinsve. And he can't actually do it face to face, he can't actually do it IRL, so to speak, so he wrote a fucking script, because that's how he interacts with the world. I mean, this is not healthy, this is not really appropriate, but that's what he's done. He's written a script in order to have a conversation with his daughter. And that ain't healthy, and that's one of the things which is brought up here. I mean, but it's really layered, it's really dense, it's really complex. I mean, generations of families dealt with, and they've all got their specific issues, and all of them are explored really, really well. I mean, I think the acting universally is excellent. Stellan Skarsgård, yes, a Best Supporting Actress nomination, although I think right now my favourite would be Paul Mescal in Hamnet. Renata Reinsve, yes, for Best Leading Actress. My choice for Best Supporting Actress is actually Inga Ibsdottir Liljas. I think she has a very, very low-key, a very quiet role, but there are a couple of speeches towards the end, where she finally kind of tells her father off, and another one where she talks to Renata Reinsve, her older sister, and says, I actually really love you, you really did do a lot for me when I was a kid. And those two little speeches I think is enough to bring her up there. I think Elle Fanning, by nature and by design, I think her character is a little bit tangential, a little bit surface. What she's dealing with, what her issues are not really at the heart of this film, and again, that's by nature and by design, because she only becomes relevant when Renata Reinsve refuses to do this film. So, I've met this American starlet at a film festival, the Deauville Festival in France, which is a real festival. So I wonder if Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning just happened to be in Deauville, and Joachim Trier said, oh well, let's just film some stuff here, because they seem to have actually filmed at the Deauville Festival in France. But anyway, Stellan Skarsgård meets Rachel Camp, Elle Fanning's character, and suddenly his script's back on the table because his daughter's refused to do it, and she comes to Norway, and now the film has to be in English. I mean, do I need to do it in an accent? I mean, it's kind of like that David Fincher version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Rooney Mara, yeah, she shouldn't have tried the accent, but I mean, that's one of the conversations that needs to be had now, because this American actress is in this Norwegian film, or this Norwegian director, or Swedish Norwegian director. And yeah, I mean, by design, Elle Fanning is a bit of a surface level character in this, so I don't really see her as a strong contender for supporting actress. I mean, I could see it happening, but my personal choice, I think, would be Inga Ibsdottir Liljas. And yeah, I mean, this is really, really good stuff. I mean, on one level, it's just a basic family drama, but it's really well put together. It's got lots of discussions about father-daughter dynamics, sister dynamics. I mean, the relationship between the siblings, Inga Obstotolelias and Renata Reisler, that's really, really well done. It's got relationships between the difference between art and real life and where those intersect, where they overlap. I mean, there's one scene where Renata Reisler looks like she's just incredibly depressed, and for good reason. I mean, she's just had another blow up with her father, and she sort of like goes into a room and just acts really depressed, and then you realise she's actually on stage and she's using her personal issues for her art. I mean, and it's there's layers and layers and layers in this. I really, really like this film. I think this is absolutely going to get nominated for International Feature. Assume it gets on the long list. I'd be astonished if it didn't. I think this is a very, very strong contender. Personally speaking, I don't think it's beating It Was Just an Accident. I haven't seen No Other Choice yet, Park Chan-wook's film. That's what I'm desperate to see, and I haven't actually got a screening for that yet. Oh, and maybe even The Voice of Hind Rajab, the Tunisian film, I think could be a dark horse. I'm seeing that in Leeds in a couple of weeks. So there are other contenders, but for right now, I think of what I've seen, Sentimental Value is the most likely to win. But I think what I want to win would be It Was Just an Accident. But either way, Sentimental Value is excellent. For the type of film it is, it's an extraordinarily good example of it. And I really, really liked it. So yeah, for me, Sentimental Value is a yay. Right, so now I need to go the other side of Bath in order to... actually, I've got a couple of hours to kill before my special screening of Wild Swimmers in the Colonnades. And that part of Bath is going to be absolutely teeming with rugby fans because, I mean, as I showed you earlier, the Wreck is just across the river. And they're actually playing Bristol Bears today, Bath Rugby. So, you know, fierce local rivals. It's going to be mayhem in that particular area of Bath today.
Rubiolo for Bristol. They're doing exactly as their DOR asked, to give it absolutely everything they've got. But Arundel, who's not been seen all day, has popped up with the exclamation mark.
But I'm going to try and record afterwards nonetheless. And yeah, I'm really fascinated to see what they come up with the Colonnades and this special screening of Wild Swimmers. But yes, I will be showing that in a minute. Well, for you it'll be a minute. Now this is a dramatic place to watch a horror movie. It's setting you up to be scared right from the start, even before the film's just started. But yeah, okay, I'll see you after the actual film. So here's a close-up view of Pulteney Bridge and a close-up hearing of Pulteney Weir, and you can just about see underneath the Empire Hotel there the Colonnades where I've just watched Wild Swimmers, which actually one of the closing scenes, it's sort of like a little mini tour of Bath, and there's a scene from that little balcony there, although there's restaurant tables. I mean, this area is full of bars and restaurants, and behind me is the Wreck again. But anyway, it feels a little bit weird talking about this film Wild Swimmers, because I'm almost sure you will never be able to see it. It turns out that this was the world premiere of Wild Swimmers, and I mean, I shot a little bit of the colonnades where I've just watched this film. It's a quite remarkable little place. I mean, it's quite decrepit. I mean, apparently the council has only recently decided to try and open it up a little bit, and Film Bath was the first people to hire it. I mean, firstly for the premiere of World Swimmers, and they're also showing The Shape of Water over there tonight. So it's a great little venue. I mean, I think we're not too far away from Halloween. Have a zombie movie, an apocalyptic movie in there. Nice setting. So yeah, it was certainly intriguing. And yeah, Wild Swimmers was certainly intriguing. Local filmmaker, local knowledge. I mean, this film is so much about Bath. I mean, the first time that the main actress, Valerie Kwok, who apparently flew in from Hong Kong in order to be here tonight, okay, and the other main actress, Caroline Murray, is apparently one of the regulars at the Rondo Theatre, which is mostly a community theatre in Lark Hall in the Eastern Edge of Bath, a short walk from where I live. And yeah, that kind of shows, and I'll get back to that in a minute, but I mean, this is very much a film about Bath. It's very much set in Bath, to the extent that when Valerie Kwok goes to a stretch of riverbank, I knew exactly where she was standing, because I walked past that little stretch of riverbank. I recognised the little inlet there. I walked past that riverbank with regularity, and I recognised a hell of a lot of the riverbank, which is a benefit and a curse, because I mean, mostly it's very, very much on the riverbank, on the eastern edge of Bath where I live. Bath Eastern is the little village where a lot of this riverbank is. But that means that when they break the rules, when the geography doesn't work as far as a local is concerned, it does stand out. Now, one of the images which is consistently used, it's used in the trailer for the Bath Film Festival, is Valerie Kwok and the bad guy running through a match of Bath ladies rugby. And again, I mean, I know exactly where that is. That's Lambridge Training Ground, which is the home of which is where the men's team train. It's where the junior teams and the women's teams play. And it's just up my road. I mean, Lidl have been trying to buy that piece of land for years, and we've constantly fought them off. I mean, it'd be nice having a Lidl my end of town, but I'd rather have the open spaces and the riverbank. But anyway, but I mean, there is a bit in the Film Bath trailer, in the Bath Film Festival trailer, of Valerie Kwok and the bad guy running through this women's rugby match. Thing is that scene is very cool. I mean, it's a chase scene going along the riverbank, but it starts on the canal bank. It starts on the Kennet and Avon Canal and then goes down to the river. And there's 3 separate bridges that are used on the Kennet and Avon Canal. 2 of which, yes, are very, very close to each other. You can do that. One of them isn't. And then it goes all the way down to the river. And I'm pretty sure you can't get to Lambridge Rugby Ground from that angle from the riverbank. I really don't think there's a pathway there. And it's restricted private property where they're coming from. So yeah, the geography of that scene didn't work, cool though it is. So yeah, I mean, it's an odd experience watching something like this, which is so very, very much part of Bath and set in Bath and has the flavour of Bath. Speaking as a local, I mean, there's even a scene in Bath Street. I mean, as well as the touristy thing, seeing Putney Bridge from that little balcony there, they go down Bath Street, and they clearly shot it at Christmas because there's a Christmas tree outside the Abbey, and there's the carousel that they usually have at Christmas time in the little square there. I mean, it's steeped in Bath, and with local Bath actors. I mean, like I said, Caroline Murray, the second lead of the film, comes from the Rondo Theatre community theatre, and it has to be said that the acting in this film is not quite up to snuff, and also the script I don't think is quite up to snuff. It's one of those films that has leaps in logic. I mean, things happen because the plot demands them. Like, oh, we're going to find this thing which is killing people in the river. I mean, obviously they made a film about it, so we know that there is a creature there, but there's not enough evidence when they start investigating. I mean, there's one anecdote from a retired police officer, and suddenly Valerie Kwok is saying, oh, there's something in the river killing people. We sure about that? It's a logical leap. And then the friendship that developed between Valerie Kwok and Caroline Murray, by the end, it's supposed to be portrayed as this sort of like really deep bond, this deep connection. I mean, we have been through something together, and we need to acknowledge this. We need to be part of something, which is a standard type of trope in this kind of film. But I just didn't buy it. I mean, I did not think that the relationship between those two women was strong enough for what happens at the end of this film. I didn't buy it. And I didn't buy a lot of this. I mean, it's cheap, which is no bad thing. I mean, you can make entertaining movies cheaply. I've seen a lot of them. But it stands out. I mean, like I said, the acting isn't quite good enough. The script isn't quite good enough. I mean, it says in the programme of the Bath Film Festival that this is looking for distribution. And quite honestly, I'd be very, very surprised if it found it. I had a good enough time watching it. It's entertaining for what it is. A very, very cheap, very, very local to me film that doesn't quite work. I mean, it's okay. I mean, that's as good as I can say. Wild Swimmers is okay. I think it maybe needed a little bit more development. It needed a little bit more plot added into it, because it's a short film. I think it's only something like 78 minutes or something. It could have done with a little bit more development, a little bit more built into it, because we just go from thing to thing to thing, and it doesn't quite stack up. But I was entertained. I had a good enough time, and it was a fascinating experience. Being in the colonnades in this strange little space which I showed you a bit of earlier, and yeah, you can't quite see it, but that's where they shot that scene in Wonka, which I talked about earlier. Yeah, you can't really see that, can you? But anyway, yeah, I'd be astonished if you ever managed to see Wild Swimmers, and it's probably worth it if you do. I mean, it's okay, and I think that's the very definition on my rating scale of yay, nay or meh. It's a meh. That's just what it is. So, right, so that is the end of the penultimate day here at the Bath Film Festival 2025, and I've got 3 films tomorrow on the final day, Sunday. So, yes, I will see you then, but for right now, I will say good night. Right, so it is the final day of the Film Bath Festival 2025, and I decided to walk into town along the Kennersnaven Canal today. Not for any particular reason, just it's a nice walk, and I needed some exercise. And it is Sunday, so it is somewhat busy, but yeah, it's a very pleasant walk. And actually my primary school is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles that way on the canal. So I mean, I love this place. I've been around it all my life. And as I was walking along, it occurred to me that why not just do my intro for today here, because I'm standing on one of the bridges which was used in the film Wild Swimmers, and behind me is the tunnel and house which is also used in Wild Swimmers. And I thought, why not? I mean, particularly because it's not one of the best known landmarks in Bath, but I do find it quite impressive because that tunnel goes underneath that house directly. Because that, during I think the 18th century, I mean, I haven't obviously done the research because this was spontaneous, but in the 18th century that was the canal master's house, and he was the one who collected all the tolls and the taxes for people who were moving goods up and down the Kennet and Avon Canal. And he basically built his house, or the house was built, on the canal, which I think is pretty cool. And that's a pretty long tunnel, it's a pretty dark tunnel, and you go all the way through it underneath the house. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little place, and it was one of the places that was used in the film Wild Swimmers, as was this bridge that I'm standing on. And yeah, they did end up at the Lambridge Rugby Ground on the river, which is, you can't get there from here, but you know, a cameo by the Bath Ladies rugby team, why not? So yes, last day, Sunday of the Bath Film Festival, was this day 10 I think, and on today's schedule we have the Chinese film Resurrection, which I'm not actually looking forward to. I didn't like the director's first film, and I watched it just in case it got submitted by China. It didn't. Then we have a Guatemalan documentary called Comparsa, and again, some wanted to watch it just in case it got submitted by Guatemala. It didn't. But it's a case I'm kind of familiar with because last year's Guatemalan Oscar entry was about the same incident, and I'll be talking about that later. And finally, the final film I'm seeing at the 2025 Bath Film Festival is Queens of the Dead, directed by George Romero's daughter, Tina Romero, a zombie outbreak in a drag club. And I just had to see that one, and it just so happens that's what's going to close the 2025 Bath Film Festival for me. But yes, here I am on a somewhat chilly October day on the Kennet and Avon Canal. I might actually have to get my gloves out later. But yes, this is where I grew up and I love it, and I wanted to share it with you. So yes, final day of the 2025 Bath Film Festival, and I will see you later after I've seen Resurrection. Okay, so that was a very long day, and this is the end of a very long Bath Film Festival. I don't know what it was, but the three films I had on today were scheduled very, very close together. So I basically had to go from one to the other, and I just didn't have time to record. I mean, I barely had time to wolf down a sandwich earlier, so yes, I'm walking home via the pizza shop, which is why I'm already past the way home, and yes, there's traffic noise, but you're just going to deal with it. I mean, it's late at night, so it's not too much. And this is usually one of the busiest streets in Bath. I'm on the Paragon at the moment, and behind me that is Milsom Street, which is Bath's major shopping street, and yes, even Bath has a slug of lettuce. Right, so yeah, I've got three films to talk about right now, and I did make notes along the way. So first up, we have Resurrection, the film by B. Gann. Now, I did see B. Gann's previous film, Long Day's Journey into Night. I mean, not was it Eugene O'Neill, was that? I mean, he was one of those great American playwrights. Had Long Day's Journey into Night, but yeah, this was it's got to be pushing 10 years ago now. But I did watch Long Day's Journey into Nice, and I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it was shot in 3D when that was already starting to fade, especially in the art house world. And the last 60 minutes of Long Day's Journey into Night was a one-shot take, which was impressive, but it was very, very art house and didn't really do anything for me. So, I mean, I wasn't hugely interested in, well, I wasn't that interested in Long Day's Journey into Night, but you know, a 60-minute unbroken one-shot take, that's got to be worth checking out. And this one, Resurrection, at the time I bought the ticket, I thought there was a very decent chance that China would submit it to the international feature Oscar race. It was, in my mind, it was either going to be this film, Resurrection, or it was going to be the animated film Ne Zha 2, which has made $2 billion. It was neither. In the end, China submitted a very nationalistic film about the Nanjing Massacre, you know, one of the greatest tragedies in Chinese history. I mean, countries tend to do that, you know, films that are very, very important to them, but this is an international competition and it doesn't always work. But anyway, that's what China submitted. They didn't submit Resurrection, but I didn't know that at the time, so I sat down to this film, had a look at the show notes, which I've got in front of me because I've written notes on them, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I started drinking, and at the Everyman they bring you your alcohol to your seat, which is handy. And yeah, I mean, this is what Began does. I mean, it's in a way it's very, very impressive. I mean, it's specifically about dreams. I mean, it's set in a world where humanity has discovered that the key to a prolonged life is to learn not to dream. It's that kind of film, and a lot of that is kind of said, but there's a lot of text that comes up on screen that tells you this, and you really have to, you know, pay attention to actually know what the fuck is going on. And it was an interesting experience because this was clearly the UK release of this film, so all the text was in English. It was using the Roman alphabet. And Bath is a student town, and one of the major places where we get students from is China. There are a lot of Chinese students in Bath, and there are a decent amount of Chinese students in this screening. I mean, in my row in the Everyman cinema, I was the only Caucasian person, and there was about eight people in my row. And I was the only Caucasian. Oh, and also in this screening, sitting almost directly behind me is a local celebrity, Cole Needham, the guy who invented IMDb. Who lives in Bath? Well, actually, he lives in Bitton, which is one of the villages between Bath and Bristol. I mean, obviously, he's minted. And yeah, he was talking to the couple next to him who didn't know who he was, and says, "Oh, are you in film?" And I couldn't help but laugh because I was, you know, they were the only people talking in the screen, so I couldn't help but overhear them sitting directly in front of them. But yeah, Cole Needham, yes, he works in films, well, kind of. But anyway, that was awesome. I mean, I've been seeing Cole Needham at the Bath Film Festival for years now. Actually, that's the first time in a couple of years, I think. I don't think I saw him last year. But yes, it's always fun when you see Cole Needham at the Bath Film Festival. But anyway, so yes, there's a lot of text on screen giving you all this information, which honestly doesn't make a great deal of sense. And there's things which Began is clearly trying to do. Oh, and another cool thing was he had a specific introduction recorded for the Bath Film Festival. I mean, a little sort of like 2-minute introduction, which was kind of cool actually. But yeah, I mean, clearly what he wanted to do is have these dreams covering a century of history, a century of Chinese history. And he specifically wanted, or he seemingly wanted to present kind of the history of cinema, the history of cinematography, as an interpretation of dreams. And yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't think it necessarily works. I mean, obviously, the first section, it's split into 5 separate sections, and there's the reason why it's 5, which I'll talk about in a minute. But each of these sections is sort of like a slightly different genre, a slightly different era. And the first one uses the trappings of silent cinema, even though it's in colour. It doesn't have dialogue, and it's got the style, the aesthetic of silent cinema. Then we've got, you know, a film noir. Then we've got a gritty 70s social realist thing. Then we've got one in the 90s, which is also like gangster and neon covered. And that one is one take, or at least it's made to look like as if it's one take. And according to the show notes, it's 40 minutes long, a one take shot, which is incredibly impressive. I mean, there are certain things in that one take shot I do not know how he achieved. I mean, there's at least 2 gags which require prosthetics to be put on an actor, and I just don't know how and when they put those prosthetics on those performers. It was really, really impressive. Makes no fucking sense, but it's a really, really impressive technical achievement. And the other thing, as well as telling the history of cinema and the history of Chinese cinema, is to equate each of these vignettes, each of these stories, with one of the 5 senses, which is not a bad idea. I don't think it entirely works. I mean, yes, there's one which is clearly about hearing, there's one which is clearly about taste. The others, I'm a little confused. So if you're going to do that, really do that. I mean, part of me is genuinely impressed by this film. I really am, because that 40-minute one take scene, and it's a complicated thing, going in and out of buildings, up and downstairs, lots and lots of extras, lots of people. The timing needs to be absolutely perfect for this one take scene. It's technically brilliant. I just wish it meant something. I wish I had any emotional connection to it whatsoever. So part of me is impressive, but at the end of the day, for what purpose? And personally speaking, as far as I'm concerned, Resurrection doesn't really have a purpose. I do think that it's filmmakers that kept coming to mind was Tarsem Singh, the guy who directed the Losing My Religion video for REM, and Michel Gondry, who's made some of the greatest music videos in history. There were strong parallels I found between Tarsem, Michel Gondry, and the visuals in this. So, arguably, this is a 2-hour, 40-minute music video, and it makes just about as much sense. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, part of me is impressed, but I didn't really like this. But I mean, I can't give it an A because it's genuinely impressive on a certain level. So, I would say that Resurrection is a man. Okay, and then almost immediately after Resurrection, we had Comparsa, which is a documentary from Guatemala, or shot in Guatemala, by a couple of American filmmakers. And again, I mean, I saw this film because I thought there was a decent chance that Guatemala would submit it to the Oscars. They didn't end up submitting anything. It might have something to do with the fact that these are American directors, but that doesn't always track. I mean, people have represented different countries as a director. I mean, Paul Verhoeven, a Dutch director, represented France for Elle a few years back. Wim Wenders, a German director, represented Japan for not Strange Days, that's the Catherine Bigelow film, Perfect Days. Wim Wenders represented Japan. So it does happen. That's not a absolute full stop. And I think the other reason is that Guatemala did submit a film last year, a film called Rita, directed by Jairo Bustamante, who was actually an executive producer on this film Comparsa, which I found rather interesting, because Comparsa is a documentary about a couple of sisters who are, what was it, 22 and 21 years old, who work in this sort of like youth group in, I'm not sure if it's a separate city outside Guatemala City or a suburb or a barrio outside Guatemala City, but it's a rough area. And they kind of work with a youth group, a place where people can, young girls and young boys can go to feel safe, to feel cared for, and to express themselves through art. And one of the things that they are currently doing is a comparsa, which is kind of a street festival, a party, an exhibition perhaps, you might say, which has been inspired by their desire to say no more violence to women, because I mean, the biggest example of this in recent Guatemalan history is a tragedy, I think it was 2018, where a safe house for young women in Guatemala, there was a fire there. And there had been long accusations about rape and other forms of abuse by the wardens at this safe house and by the government officials in Guatemala City. And there was a mass breakout of these girls, just desperately trying to get out of this terrible situation. And they were all caught, or most of them were caught, within a day. And then they were just locked in a room. They weren't given any food or water, they weren't given any toilet breaks. So in order to, just let us out, somebody started a fire. One of the girls started a fire. And the police and the wardens standing right outside the door just left them in there. Didn't open the door. 56 girls were in that room, 41 died, the rest had severe burns. And this was the inspiration, this was the starting point for Jairo Bustamante's film Rita, which was submitted to the Oscars last year. And weirdly you can find on Shudder.com. I mean, the last couple of Jairo Bustamante's films have been on Shudder and they don't really fit there. I mean, yes, Rita is an excellent film which I do thoroughly recommend, and it's very much in the vein of something like Pan's Labyrinth, where these horrific situations, the horrific things that these girls are going through, are portrayed, are described in very fantastical ways. I mean, in Rita, the main character, Rita, is always wearing angel's wings, and everybody who's in her dormitory is wearing angel's wings, and there's others who have veils, there's others who dress up like Barbie princesses, pink dress princesses. I mean, it's one of those situations where terrible situations are being portrayed through kind of magic realist, surrealist methods. And yeah, Rita is an excellent film and I do recommend it.
Nuevo ingreso. No es fácil ser la nueva en este cuarto.
Todas ellas creen que hay una profecía y que va a llegar un ángel salvadora que nos va a sacar de aquí. Yo no creo en esa profecía. No necesitamos mitos para salir de aquí.
Yo sí creo en la profecía. Pienso que ese ángel sos vos.
But that incident where these 41 girls died is also basically the starting point for this documentary Comparsa, where these sisters, Leslie and Lupe Perez, who are 21 or 22 years old, want to talk about this situation, want to protest about this situation, and the way they do it is through art. I mean, through protests outside the Guatemalan Parliament, which have been going on for 5 years. I mean, this happened 5 years ago. Nobody's been held accountable. And they go to these protests, they do face painting, body painting, which is really, really good. And you can see on the poster now it's going to be that side, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, through face painting and through this comparsa. I would also through circus performing. I think it's Leslie, who is a fire eater. She's one of the people who sort of like has fireballs on chains and swings them around and throws fire and stuff like that. She describes herself as a circus performer, and she's good. And this is all part of the environment. I mean, the situation where they're protesting the terrible situation for not just these 41 dead girls, but for all women in Guatemala. It's pretty dicey out there. And this is a method for showing solidarity, for showing strength. But, and that's all fascinating. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, these two sisters, I mean, they're complete forces of nature. I mean, at a very, very young age, I mean, 21, 22 years old, and they are firebrands. I mean, really getting organised, really getting stuck in, really getting these protests in the situation they need to be in. I mean, they are very, very impressive women. But they're also kind of damaged, as everybody is damaged. I mean, at every single point you are reminded in this documentary of just how messed up it is to be a woman in a place like Guatemala. I mean, they spend for like 7-8 months. I mean, the little patch of land outside this youth centre, they turn into a park. I mean, sort of like little paths bordered by old tyres, green areas. They've worked really, really hard on it. It's a really nice, I mean, for what it is, it's a really nice little space. And then one day a drunk just starts sleeping there, and they have to try and get rid of him. There's one situation where one of the girls gets scared shitless when she's out shopping, and a man just starts following her and her friend. During the course of filming, 2 girls are just taken off the streets and tortured and killed, and they are close personal friends of one of the other girls in the group. This is just the kind of shit that happens in a place like Guatemala, and that's kind of what this is about, because I think one of the things this is talking about is not only the use of art as a process movement, but it's just highlighting and showcasing just how difficult it is just being a woman in Guatemala. And I think the whole art as protest thing is clearly the focus of this film, and it works. But also, apart from that, it's just about the situation of women and protests about being a woman in a place like Guatemala. And I think it's effective on both counts. It is powerful hearing direct testimony from people who actually knew at least one of these 41 girls, but I do strongly still recommend Rita, the film by Dario Bustamante. I mean, it might not be to everybody's taste because it is about murder, and yet it's got these fantastical elements in it. So you will know whether that would be something you do, but I do recommend Rita. But yeah, Comparsa is a decent documentary. I think it's probably going to be one of those ones that disappears into the ether and just does the festival circuits and struggles to find distribution. But if you do find Comparsa, I basically recommend it. For me, it was a meh. And finally, the final film I saw on the final day of the Bath Film Festival 2025 was Queens of the Dead. Directed by Tina Romero, and very much in the spirit of her father's early work. I think it's very telling that Tom Savini, the legendary makeup artist who did a lot of those zombie movies, Tom Savini has a cameo in this film. He's literally phoning it in. I mean, he's just on a TV screen. As the Mayor of New York, and he specifically says this isn't a George Romero movie. I mean, this film knows exactly what it's doing. It's camp, it's kitsch, it's funny. I mean, it's got the types of tropes that you do tend to see in this film. I mean, Katie O'Brien is basically the protagonist, and she runs this drag night in this little nightclub in Bushwick, New York. And she's a little bit of a commitment phobe. She's a little bit of Arrested Development. I mean, she's in her 30s and she's still just doing these party nights, and that's all she's doing. Whereas her wife, Rikki Lindholm, that's a good get for this. I mean, if you think Garfield and Oates amongst other things. I mean, I think Katie O'Brien and Rikki Lindholm make a very cute couple. A weirder couple in this film is Jack Haven and Margaret Cho. That was a bit of a left field one, but the heart wants what the heart wants. But yeah, I mean, you've got Katie O'Brien, who is a little bit of a commitment phobe and a little bit juvenile. She hasn't really grown up yet. You've got I didn't recognise him, but apparently he's, or they possibly, an award-winning Broadway guy, a Jackal somebody. Can't see his name here. Yeah, I know it's Jackal somebody. And his issue, I think he, possibly they, but I think his issue is suddenly, I mean, after, you know, months and months and months of successful performances at this drag night, he suddenly got crippling stage fright and just couldn't go on. And you're having the self-confidence to actually get back on stage and want to get back on stage, and trying to be convinced, you know, your drag persona is part of you, it's not something you can just separate. It's quite emotional, but quite standard. I mean, and you know, the old, the Grand Dame, I mean, who dismissively gets called Nana a lot, is apparently somebody from Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, Nina West. I don't watch Drag Race. I mean, I don't like that kind of reality TV, but yeah, I mean, it's got some good people in it, and they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, it is cheap. I mean, you can tell it's cheap. I mean, it uses a couple of locations reasonably effectively, and it's got that kind of homemade feel to it, with, you know, quick one-liners, you know, drag humour for want of a better term, but humorous nonetheless. And it's not. Why do they make those cars so noisy? Yes, shut up. I mean, it is that kind of drag humour, for want of a better term, but I mean, it is quick-witted. It does work, it does function, but it's pretty standard tropes. I mean, if you've seen a zombie movie, you've probably seen this film. It's just a different setting. I mean, they do make use of the drag club. They do make use of Katie O'Brien's brother-in-law, Ricky Lindholm's brother. Don't know what his name is. No, I haven't got him on the list. But he's, you know, a bit of a man in this. He's saying, oh, I don't know what the correct terms is. You keep on changing. Why can't a man just be a man? And he's the brother of a lesbian and the brother-in-law of Kate O'Brien, who, let's face it, is kind of butch. But also, she's a brilliant actress. I mean, Love Lies Bleeding. Do check out Love Lies Bleeding. That's a fantastic film. Oh, for that matter, Jack Haven in I saw the TV play. Oh, I've never seen Jack Haven with blonde hair. She's got a big blonde haircut. I mean, I've only ever seen her with that sort of pretty short, dark hair. I mean, I saw the TV Glow and the last Bill and Ted film. I think that's all I've seen them in. But anyway, yeah, really good cast, really fun film. It's not going to wow you. I mean, like I said, if you've seen a zombie film, you've probably seen this. It's just a different setting, but it's well executed. I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe this is going to be coming out on Shudder.com in the near future. At least in the United States, probably here in the UK, they do tend to do that as well. So, hey, another one that's going to end up on Shudder. But yeah, this does feel like the kind of film that Shudder buys and releases as a Shudder original. I mean, if you are into your horror movies, I do strongly recommend Shudder.com. But yeah, that's probably where you're going to be able to find Queens of the Dead, and it's just fun.
Hi, I'm Diomede, gender-bending mythological legend and winner of at least 2 things. Wow, isn't that camp king who's been slaying stages from Bristol to Cardiff to Exeter? Is there anything they can't do?
So yes, I think Queens of the Dead ends up being a pretty high math on my rating scale. And if I didn't say earlier, I think it's a math for Comparsa as well. So yeah, not a great day. Well, it was fun at the very least. Queens of the Dead was fun at the very least. But yes, it's really late at night. I need to get home. I've got a night full of NFL action to watch, and I've probably got match of the day if my brother's still up, which he might not be. And I'm getting a pizza on the way home because I am fucking starving at the moment. So yes, I will leave it there, and this is me signing off on the last night of the Bath Film Festival 2025. So, the 2025 Bath Film Festival is over, and to close these videos I thought I'd do something a little bit different. So here is an overhead view, or an elevated view at least, of the city of Bath. That is the centre down there, and if I come around this way, this is more of the rural areas out towards the eastern edges of Bath. My house is roughly in the same area of that crane there. That's roughly where my house is. But yes, this is Bath. And this elevated view of Bath comes from here. This is Salisbury Hill, an Iron Age fort on the eastern edge of Bath. not sure how well you can see all this, but this is sort of genuine ancient history. I mean, when I've been doing my talks about the history of Bath, I mean, it's mostly been, you know, history, recorded history. I mean, a little bit of the Romans, a bit of the Georgians, up to, you know, very, very modern history a couple of years ago. But I thought we have ancient history as well. Yeah, so I decided to come up here to Salisbury Hill. I mean, as I said, I mean, I live just down there. I mean, technically I live on the very, very bottom slopes of Salisbury Hill. And as well as being an Iron Age fort, there is some cultural impact of Salisbury Hill, thanks to Peter Gabriel, who made the song Salisbury Hill his first solo single after he burnt out from Genesis.
Climbing up on Salisbury Hill, I could see the city light. Wind was blowing, time stood still. Eagle flew out of the night.
And yeah, Peter Gabriel is a local. He lives in the village of Box, which is in Wiltshire, just over the border between Somerset and Wiltshire, just over that direction a little bit. And yeah, Box is also the location of Real World Studios, which Peter Gabriel founded. And many of the world's greatest musicians have recorded in Real World Studios. I mean, my mother used to work in a petrol station, and she inadvertently served Robbie Williams one day and only realised later who it was who was in her petrol station. Loads of people have recorded in the real world. And yeah, actually, just down that way a little bit, when I was a kid, there was a rumour that Roland Orzabal of Tears for Fears still lived in a house just down the hill down that way a little bit. And both Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith are from Bath. Tears for Fears is a Bath band. And supposedly when I was a kid, Roland Orzabal still lived in a house just down there. I don't think either of them still live in Bath, but yeah, I thought I'd show you something a little bit different and something that's very, very local to me. I mean, like I said, I live just down there, even though it's a hell of a walk to get up, or it's really steep. I mean, I have been up here for decades and I forget how steep it is. I mean, this is actually the second time I've tried to do this video. I mean, the day after the festival I came up here, but it was incredibly windy, too windy for my phone. So I've got a baffle today, so, and it's actually not that windy. And I was also chased off by some cows the last time I was up here. They apparently were very keen to get on this specific bit of grass I'm standing on. I'm standing in the same place. But yes, why not wrap up with something different, something ancient, something with some cultural footprint thanks to Peter Gabriel, and something that's really, really close to my house. So yes, there was the 2025 Bath Film Festival. 17 films in 10 days, a variety of stuff that really impressed me, some stuff that didn't impress me. I think my favourite film of the festival was definitely Sentimental Value. I really, really like that film. I also want to give honourable mentions to the Indian queer film Cactus Pears and the Australian queer anarchic animation Lesbian Space Princess. I think those are my top films of the Bath Film Festival this year. We've got more of these videos planned. I mean, this coming weekend I'm going to be spending in Cambridge for the Cambridge International Film Festival. I'm seeing 3 films there, and then the week after that I'm going to Leeds for 3 days, 6 films in the Leeds International Film Festival. That's going to be the Friday to Sunday in 2 weeks' time, and then on Wednesday going back up north to Manchester for the Manchester Animation Festival. So I've got a busy schedule of film festivals, and maybe I'm going to try and at some point fit in some more Oscar predictions, because now I've seen so many of the contenders, I may as well have a look at updating my lists. So there's plenty of stuff on this channel, plenty of stuff you might like. But before I sign off permanently from this video, why not show you one final panoramic view of my hometown of Bath. This is the place I've lived for over 40 years and I love it. And yes, with that said, and with my local pride assuaged, if you've watched this far into the video and this series of videos, maybe I deserve a like. You can also leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do anything which helps the algorithm and this tiny little channel. But for right now, I think that is where I leave this video. And from the ancient hill fort of Salisbury Hill, all that remains for me to say is this has been a presentation of the Yay, Nay or Meh channel, and I will see you next time where I shine a light on TV and cinema, both obvious and obscure. Look what showed up just after I finished recording. These are different cows than the other day, and they are very close. I'm probably interested in what's in my bags, but yeah, I'm out here now.